You've taught us so much great stuff today. I just really want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today. This is just a fantastic, amazing interview that will change people's lives if they just will tune in and start doing this. And it's not hard, like you just pointed out. It's some things that for people to change their lifestyle is so hard. This is easy, folks, so easy. Okay, Dr. Shetlin here with you today, and I'm here with Catharine, I just want to say it right, Catharine Arnston. She's amazing. You're going to love her presentation because we're talking about the product Energy Bits, which is algae, and she's going to blow your minds with this product because it's incredibly simple, easy digestible nutrition for your body, and it's amazing. I met her in Florida a few weeks ago at a seminar. I couldn't wait for this interview today. So I'm just going to turn you loose there, Catharine, if you don't mind giving us the lowdown on Energy Bits.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. J. It was great to meet you and great to be here now. So my company, Energy Bits, sells algae tablets in tiny little tablet form, and I'll describe them in greater detail in a minute. The blue one is Spirulina, the green one is Chlorella, and we'll go over some of the differences and the different benefits of the two algae and why you would take them at different times a day and what they do differently. I've been doing this for 13 years, so I'm deep in algae research and I don't say anything I don't have an NIH reference to, so everything is science-based, so there's nothing, no smoke and mirrors, no conjecture. And I wasn't planning on starting the company, but 15 years ago, my younger sister in Canada developed breast cancer, and as she was preparing for her chemotherapy, her oncologist, which is a cancer specialist, told her to change her diet to an alkaline diet, and because it would help with her healing. They didn't tell her what it was or why specifically it was good for her. So she called me, her big sister who loves her, and I turned out to be a really great scientific researcher. I found out that an alkaline diet was primarily a plant-based diet because of the phytonutrients and the chlorophyll that have been proven to build your immune system. So I found all kinds of foods for her. She changed her diet. She went through chemo. She completely healed. Yes, she's 12 years cancer-free. And in the process, I learned about the importance of plant-based nutrition. Now, some of you probably don't know much about plant-based nutrition, but 15 years ago, nobody was talking about it. Yeah. So I thought, man, this is powerful stuff. Somebody needs to get the word out. And I'm just that kind of individual that doesn't sit on the sideline. So I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to try something. So I gave up my 25-year corporate career. I had an MBA, went back to school, studied nutrition, got a coaching certificate from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And then I taught plant-based nutrition at corporations and hospitals. I put a whole curriculum together. And this is what led me to algae. And you probably can relate to this because as I was teaching people about the importance of eating vegetables, I got a lot of pushback because people were telling me it's too much work. You know, vegetables weigh a lot to carry home from a grocery store. Maybe you don't live near a grocery store. They take up a lot of room in your fridge. They take a long time to clean, to cook, to eat. They go bad quickly. They give you gas. There's arguments at the dinner table with children and husbands. And so there was a million reasons why people weren't eating vegetables. So I thought, okay, I know what this stuff does. If people are having a problem getting access or taking the time, and it does take a lot of time to eat good meals, I thought I need to find something that's fast and easy that gives them the nutrition without any of the work. Sounds impossible, right? But I'm not, I'm someone, I was on Shark Tank and they told me I was unstoppable, which is correct. So I looked at everything I'd found for my sister, just in deeper dive, and it took me months before I circled back to algae. And that's when the miracle happened. And I'm so excited to tell you all about it, but let me give you a couple of top notes. First of all, algae is the most alkaline food in the world, which is why my sister's oncologist wanted her to have an alkaline diet. And we'll talk about the importance of an alkaline diet later on. So that box was checked. Turns out algae is the most nutrient-dense food in the world. NASA, we have a quote from NASA that says 1 gram of algae, microalgae, has the same nutrition as 1,000 grams of vegetables, 1 to 1,000. And it's because, and you'll find out, microalgae is so tiny, you can't see it with your eye, and about 1 million of the cells would fit on the head of a pin. So when you think about the consolidation of that nutrition, you start to understand the efficiency of the nutrients. It's also been endorsed by the United Nations as the answer to world hunger. Why? Drum roll. Algae has the highest concentration of protein in the world. So 50 years ago, United Nations identified spirulina algae as a very critical nutrient, and yet it still isn't understood here in North America. It has 3 times the amount of protein as steak, and as you'll find out, it's a complete protein. It has all 9 aminos that your body can't make. It has 18 of the 20. On top of that, algae is the most studied food in the world. I know it's hard to believe that something so studied would be unknown to you, but it's because none of these studies, scientists like to talk to other scientists. Dr. J will probably confirm that. And it's rare that they talk to consumers. So while in Asia, where it's grown, some people know some of the science, none of this has been shared with you, although it's been around for almost 100 years. So science-based and internationally endorsed. It's a food crop. That's the other thing. Algae is not a supplement. I'm going to show you pictures of algae farms. This is a spirulina farm, and this is a chlorella farm. So there's 2 important things here to know. First of all, algae is food, not a supplement. Supplements are made in factories with high heat and extracts, and algae is a crop, no different than broccoli or lettuce. So that's number 1, it's food. Number 2, it's not from the ocean. Yes, there is algae in the ocean, but we grow ours, and almost all the spirulina and chlorella that you consume is grown in fresh water. So no contamination from the ocean. It's a food group. And as if that wasn't enough, algae has been used for over 50 years in Asia. The Japanese do not leave their house without chlorella algae. They do not take supplements in Japan. They take chlorella algae, which you're going to find out is a wellness detox algae. Spirulina is a nourishing, energizing algae. And we'll talk more about that later on. But here's the thing. You don't know about algae because it's not grown here. 99% of it is grown in Asia. 99% of it is consumed in Asia. And so the little bit, it's been sold here for about 50 years, and you might put it in your smoothie, but it's a superfood, but no one's ever explained to you what it actually does. And also the quality has been very poor. Most of it came from China. Ours is in Taiwan. So when I saw that it was alkaline, high protein, nutrient dense, science-based, and internationally endorsed, used safely in Asia, and just basically either not known or misunderstood, but it has unbelievable health benefits, that's when I decided 13 years ago I was going to devote the rest of my life to helping everyone outside of Asia understand what algae is and why you need it desperately. It could be the lifeline to keeping you and your family alive. And it's not a grandiose statement. When you see the science, I'm going to tell you later today, you'll understand why it's absolutely essential for you to take both of these algae every day from now on.
Man, you just are so wonderful and articulate. I hate to even interrupt for anything, but thanks for being the spokesperson for algae, because you just pointed out a couple of key things. It's so much outside of the States, where inside the States, it's like, oh, instead of eating grown food, here, eat this Twinkie, or here, all the marketing dollars are spent on things that make us sick, rather than something like this that's so healthy. Now, another thing, and maybe you were going to talk on this, but isn't this like the oldest food or living thing on the planet?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking about that. So here's the amazing thing. Algae was the first life, not just the first plant, the first life on Earth almost 4 billion years ago. So a little evolutionary history here. Before algae, Earth was just gas and water. Now, nobody really knows why it was a cyanobacteria, and you're going to find out spirulina is a bacteria. It's called a cyanobacteria. It started growing. It was an anaerobic cell, which means it exists where there is no oxygen. And of course, there was no oxygen on Earth. So that's the only type of cell that could begin growing. And then it started growing. And for after a billion years, there was now oxygen on life. So that aerobic cells, which do better in oxygen, started growing. And I'll talk a little bit more later on, but and we're going to talk about mitochondria health later on as well, but as the larger cells that were aerobic they weren't generating ATP as well as the anaerobic cells, which were now struggling because they did better when there was no oxygen. So the large aerobic cell engulfed the smaller cell. And we'll talk about this in a minute, but there's the cyanobacteria like spirulina on its own, struggling after and so the big cell engulfs it, and it became mitochondria. So cyanobacteria like spirulina actually became your mitochondria. It's all documented in something called endosymbiotic theory. And as we get deeper into this, it helps explain why everything in algae is perfectly suited to protect and support your mitochondrial function, because your mitochondria are the number one thing that keep you alive. And or if they're damaged, they're the number one thing that makes you sick. So everything you do is to protect and support your mitochondria. And when you do, you won't have chronic disease. So it was pretty amazing to me when I found out that spirulina, a cyanobacteria, became your mitochondria. And there's some other important things that we'll get to in a minute. So
mitochondria is literally the power plant for every cell in our body. That's fascinating.
So the mitochondria, what they do is they take the food that you eat. Well, first it gets digested in your stomach into smaller molecules. And then those molecules, the glucose molecules, move into your bloodstream and into your mitochondria. And there's two processes. One's called, it's a little technical, the Krebs cycle, and another one's called the electronic transport chain. And they convert it into cellular energy, which is called ATP. That cellular energy does everything in your body. It helps you walk, talk, sleep, think, digest, your heartbeat. So without ATP cellular energy, you have no life. And this is why when you are fatigued or have brain fog, it's always, you follow the trail, it's always dysfunctional or damaged mitochondria. So we can always, you have to go downstream to find out that it's mitochondria. This is why all the drugs that people are being given for different heart disease or brain disorders do not correct the problem. They only address the symptoms. The problem in most cases is mitochondrial dysfunction. So, and as you're going to find out, algae is the best thing to protect those mitochondria and get them back healthy. So it's pretty cool. So just again, to recap so far, algae, first life on Earth, is a food, not a supplement, and ours is a raw food because we are unique. We do not use high heat to dry our algae, which is very unusual. Most companies, which are lower priced, use high heat because they're high volume, so they have to get to market quickly. But that heat kills enzymes. And there's a very important enzyme called superoxide dismutase, which is a mouthful, also known as SOD, which is critical for protecting your mitochondria. So all the other algae that use high heat to get dried, their SOD is damaged and inactive, and ours is active. So it's pretty important stuff.
I think that's really key, Catharine. I just want to point that out for listeners. When we take and we make mass-produced supplements, we're denaturing enzymes and proteins. And so we're really not we're making expensive excretions, and we're not getting good absorption of those nutrients, where this in its is just a whole different animal.
And people probably don't realize this, but that's why the numbers, when you buy a multivitamin, the numbers are so high because you only absorb about 5 or 10% of it, because they're extracts that don't exist in nature. Our bodies are from nature. Algae is from nature. So when you have algae, whether you swallow it or chew it or add it to your smoothie, you absorb 99% of it because your body goes, oh, I know what to do with that. But when you use supplements, which are made from extracts that do not exist like that in nature and have been composed with heat, your body just doesn't know what to do with it. It's like, having a wrong size shoe. It's like, well, what am I going to do with that? It doesn't fit, so I can't use it. It's exactly what happens with supplements. Your body doesn't know what to do with it, so can't use it, and you just pee it out. Doesn't happen with algae. It's remarkable. So just a recap, we grow it in fresh water, triple filtered Spring Mountain water, because we only sell our algae through our website, energybits.com, and we have a 20% discount code we're going to share at the end, so you can buy it from there, or Dr. J sells it in his office as well. We only sell through doctors, chiropractors, biohacking clinics, longevity clinics, because it's physician grade algae. You can go to Whole Foods and Costco and buy cheap stuff, but I can almost promise you it won't work as well. I know I can definitely promise you it won't work like ours does, because that's the cheap stuff. So we grow it in triple filtered spring mountain water. We dry it in without heat into a powder, and then we press them into little tablets that we call bits, because they're bits of dried food. Again, not a supplement, they're bits of dried food. So the two main algae are Spirulina and Chlorella, and I want to help you understand the difference between the two of them and when and why you would take them. So here's the thing. Our soils and our food supply is so damaged that you may be eating, even if you're eating vegetables, you're getting a fiber, yes, but you are not getting nutrition. I read a study recently. They took some, vegetables, lettuce and broccoli and cauliflower, and they tested the nutrients from when they were grown 50 years ago compared to now. And as an example, it would have like 400 milligrams of these various nutrients, and now they have 40. It's a combination of our soils being overcropped, so there's no minerals for the vegetables to pull up, or they're grown so far away, they're harvested before they are ripe, so the enzymes and the nutrients can't get to the leaves or to the fruit. Then they're stuffed into warehouses where they, just hang out and, don't mature properly. And then we cook them. So by the time you get it to your plate, there's virtually no nutrition in it. That's why your arugula goes yellow after 2 days, because there's not much chlorophyll in there to start with. And then the ozone layer, they've done studies and found out because it's so damaged, plants now have more sugar and less nutrients. So you just can't, even if you eat a very balanced diet, your body is not getting the nourishment that it needs. And the second issue is there's too many toxins. We're surrounded by toxins. The average adult in America apparently has something like 700 or 800 toxins. And when the toxins, our immune systems were not built to support that kind of toxic load. So they damage your cell membranes, they damage your DNA, they damage your mitochondria. So nothing operates functionally. And it's a double whammy as when you get less nutrition and more antioxidants or more free radicals. It's a perfect storm for disease. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So the situation is 50% of Americans have a chronic disease. And I just read a statistic today that 80% of people over 65 have a chronic disease. 80%. And it just gets worse from there on. So we have to have an intervention here that's natural. And as you're going to find out, it's algae, and it's food, and it's safe, and it's pure, and it's toxin free, and it comes in these tiny little tablets that you can swallow, chew, or add to smoothie. It's effortless nutrition. This is effortless longevity. This is the biohack of biohacks. This is the future of food. The Newsweek had a big article a couple of months ago about how algae is the food of the future. It's going to feed everybody, not only in America, but the world. And I completely agree, because it's our last shot at getting nourishment. So let's talk about the two algae. Spirulina is always been known for being a nourishing, energizing algae. And it's called a blue-green algae because see how darker it is? It has two pigments in it, a blue one called phycocyanin and a green one, which you probably know, which is chlorophyll. The blue in phycocyanin is like this color. Now, that we call our spirulina energy bits, and we package it in blue because it is a blue-green algae. And spirulina gives you energy mentally, physically, and also at the mitochondrial cellular level. And we'll talk about the mitochondria piece in a minute. So how does it give you energy mentally and physically? Well, number one, spirulina is a bacteria. So it does not have a cellulose wall. There is nothing for your body to break down to get access to the nutrients. And those nutrients include the highest protein in the world, which already are in amino acid form. Animal protein is all bound up and can take up to 3 days to break down into amino acids. Collagen is in what's called peptides. They're in smaller clusters of aminos. But algae protein is in individual aminos, and so it gets absorbed into your body instantly. Now, it has, as I said, 18 of the 20 aminos, including the 9 that your body can't make. Now, it gives you energy because it also has the highest B vitamins in the world, and B vitamins convert the aminos into glucose and energy. It does a lot of other things. It has a lot of essential fatty acids, which are really good for your brain power. It has iron carries oxygen, and that oxygenates your blood and your brain. So, and it has 40 other vitamins and minerals. So athletes use it. We fuel NHL teams, entire Olympic teams, because it gives them energy without caffeine, chemicals, or sugar. Zero. It's also zero carbs, by the way. And so if you are doing intermittent fasting, which I strongly recommend, and we'll talk about that in a minute, you can have 10 of these in the morning, 10 tablets. Just swallow them, with water, and you won't be tired or hungry, and you'll be able to get through to whenever you have your meal that breaks your fast with your intermittent fasting. It's not crazy energy like you would get from again, chemicals, caffeine, or sugar. It's such gentle energy. I call it quiet energy. You'll notice it if you're working out, because you'll lift more, or you'll run further or faster, and you won't even notice it. So it's not jittery energy. It's just nourishment, and it's nourishment for your brain, for your body, and we'll talk about the cellular nourishment. So you can, it has 40 vitamins and minerals, so you can replace lots of your multivitamins that probably aren't working anyways. You can replace your pre-workout. You can replace protein if you want. And anyone who's carnivore or paleo, I have good news for you. There are no lectins or oxalates in algae. So this also gives you the benefits that you're missing by not eating vegetables, because you want to stay away from lectins and oxalates. So anybody who is in that category, this is for you as well. So spirulina, very nourishing and energizing. And most people take it in the morning or the afternoon or for a workout, because that's when you want energy and that's when you want focus, mental focus. So that's terrific. Now, chlorella, again, chlorella is the green algae. Chlorella developed 1 billion years after spirulina. This was the first one. And chlorella does belong to the plant kingdom. Spirulina is a bacteria. So chlorella's claim to fame is the highest chlorophyll in the world. Remember, spirulina has the highest protein in the world. You say, well, what's so important about chlorophyll? Well, I'm going to show you something. This is the chemical composition of your hemoglobin, and this is the chemical composition of chlorophyll. They are virtually identical. And this is because chlorophyll builds your blood. The only difference is that chlorophyll has magnesium in the middle and your hemoglobin has iron, which is what carries oxygen. So when you have enough chlorophyll, you are building your blood. And when you have healthy blood, you're going to have a healthier body, healthier brain. Everything's going to work better. And by the way, it also restores the alkaline pH of your blood, which needs to be 7.34, so that it flows easily, and that the hemoglobin doesn't clump like it does when it's too acidic. So that's number one. It builds your blood, and it has, again, 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula. So very efficient chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is also a fat-based pigment. I don't have the picture to show you, but I used to do these tests. I would put a couple of spirulina in a dish and a couple of the chlorella in a dish, and in the spirulina, the blue pigment would just disperse beautifully, like the Aegean Sea. And when I did it with the chlorella, and I invite you all to try this as well, it would just sit there, and the green would just clump. And I did this 20 times until I went online, checked my science, and turns out blue pigment, this phycocyanin in spirulina, is a water-based pigment. Chlorophyll is a fat-based pigment. Now, why is that important? It's because all of your cell walls are made of fats. They're called lipids. And you need healthy fats like E and omega-3 and D to heal keep your cell walls permeable. And so chlorophyll does that too. That's why when people do cleanses with lots of veggie juices, a lot of it's the cleansing effect of the chlorophyll. So you get that automatically when you have chlorella, because it has the highest chlorophyll in the world. So that's number two about chlorophyll. Chlorophyll also kills bacteria. They used to use it during any kind of surgery before the pharmaceutical industry, even up until World War II. They would use it topically on cuts to kill bacteria, and give it to the injured if they had run out of blood transfusions, because they would heal just as fast from the chlorophyll as if they had a blood transfusion. So it kills bacteria, which means kills bacteria in your mouth if you have bad breath, in your colon. But anyone who has pets, dogs, your dog will have a much better breath, and these are terrific for pets, by the way. So kills bacteria, builds your blood, establishes an alkaline pH both in your blood and at your cellular level. And then Chlorella, algae, unlike Spirulina, which has no cellulose wall, Chlorella has the hardest cell wall in the plant kingdom, and it attaches to toxins, all the heavy metals, lead, mercury, radiation, lime, alcohol, lactic acid, attaches them and chelates them, pulls them out of your body. So because it has this chlorophyll, it also has 40 vitamins and minerals, including unique ones like vitamin K2, which move excess calcium out of soft tissue like your brain and your heart, your blood vessels into your bones, so it prevents osteoporosis. It also has the highest tryptophan in the world, which helps you sleep. It has the highest glutathione in the world, which also is detoxing, particularly for your kidney. Or your liver, rather. Your liver is like your water treatment plant, and it pulls all the toxins out of your body. So because of all these healing properties and nourishing for your immune system and removing toxins, we call our Chlorella recovery bits, because it helps you recover from illness or recover from your day or your sports or whatever's going on. And because your body goes through a detox and repair cycle when you're sleeping, we suggest you can take Chlorella any time of day with food instead of food, same with Spirulina, but definitely take it before you go to bed. Because when you sleep, when you're in deep sleep, number one, your brain shrinks a little bit. And so in your body, you have what's called the glymphatic system. It's similar to your lymphatic system, cleans out toxins and metals out of your brain and also out of your body. So while you're sleeping, getting your beauty rest, the Chlorella can be like your cleanup crew, pulling toxins out, helping you repair your cellular structure. It also has a very high amount of melatonin, which is also an antioxidant. We'll talk about that in a minute. So this is really good before bed, and Spirulina is really good in the morning. The other thing we're going to talk about when we get to mitochondria is how this is so protective of your brain. They're realizing all brain issues, whether it's Alzheimer's, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, is a mitochondrial disease. Why? Because your brain has the highest concentration of mitochondria in your entire body. And we're going to talk about it in a minute, but there's 2 million mitochondria per cell in your brain. Think about that. 2 million of these power sources per cell. So when they're not working properly, your brain isn't working properly. But if we can correct them, that will get everything back into a healthier order, reduce anxiety, reduce any kind of issue going on. And in fact, there was a book that was just published, which I love and I highly recommend, Brain Energy, written by Dr. Chris Palmer. He's a psychiatrist at Harvard Medical School. And the entire book is about how all mental health issues are based on damaged mitochondria. So we're on the same page. And because Spirulina has an enzyme called superoxide dismutase that protects the mitochondria, getting into your mitochondria helps your brain more than anything else in your entire body. So in addition to thinking about taking Spirulina, 10 tablets in the morning, and Chlorella, take it at night, think about Spirulina as a brain, or working in your body from the top down, because it helps so much with your brain. And because this is a cleansing detox, helps your digestion, feeds your gut biomes, and cleans out your colon, think of this as the algae for bottom up, top down. So AM, PM, top down, bottom up. And they work very well together, but do completely different things, as you can see.
So you can take them together, but I think that's a beautiful way you just articulated that.
In fact, we do have another brand we call Vitality Bits, in case people don't want to buy them separately. It's a blended tablet. It has both the Spirulina and Chlorella. But if you can buy them separately, because usually you want energy in the morning, and that's just Spirulina. Chlorella will not give you energy. And if you want to sleep better and pull out toxins, that's Chlorella. But you can buy them separate. We do blend it for you if you want to have that that combination.
Beautiful blend of, to me, it just makes sense when you think about the way the world is created, the way we're created, and that innate intelligence and the simplicity and beauty of innate intelligence, where this is so much less complicated than, oh, I need this supplement of fish oils for my brain, I need this supplement for calcium and magnesium for my bones. It just seems like it has everything right there.
I know. Well, it's sort of like the elephant in the room. It's been here for 4 billion years. We're kind of like last of the party. As I said, the Asians have been on to algae. When I tell you it's a multi-billion-dollar crop, it's as big as the beef industry is here. And yet you think, well, that's crazy that we don't know about it. But it's because you can't patent it because it's a vegetable. It's like broccoli. So the pharmaceutical industries aren't interested in it. The food industry doesn't launch new products. They wait till somebody's educated people about it. So they're not going to do it for you. And because it's grown in Asia, and that's where 99% of it is consumed in Asia, they're just not interested in anybody else because they've got everything they need right where they are. So I've spent 13 years, when you think, which is a long time, to understand why this works so well. And part of it, when we first started, we got noticed by the sports community, and lots of my team were actually had somebody on the Olympics, and we had runners. So we got noticed and written up by blogs, and that's how the whole athletic community, we became a sports nutrition company for the first 5 years. And I sent 2 of my team over to the Olympics in Russia for that reason. And I used to speak at triathlon clubs. This is when I was just beginning. Remember, I'm all self-taught on most of this nutrition and science. I would get in front of these triathlon groups, and they would say, how can something with 1 calorie, because there's only 1 calorie per tablet, they would say, how can something with 1 calorie give me energy? They didn't believe me. They literally heckled me. And I said, I'll have to get back to you on that. I'll have to find out. And I did. And of course, we know now that calories aren't it's what happens in your body with that particular nourishment. And while we're talking about 1 tablet, I want you to really check this out. 1 tablet has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. That's using that quote from NASA. And it never goes bad. It doesn't weigh anything. You can keep it on your counter forever. No gas, no digestive distress, safe for children, teens, grandparents, pets. It's unbelievable. This is the future of food. Now, I'm not suggesting that you only have this, but this will give you the nourishment that your body needs. I call it health insurance. This is your food and your health insurance. And then everything else you do afterwards is for enjoyment, for social activities, but you're getting the nourishment that you need. And there's so much nourishment we sell them in these large bags of 1,000 tablets. I did the math and figured out each bag has the equivalent nutrition as 551 pounds of vegetables. That's crazy, right? So crazy. One bag has, if you took 10 a day, and you can, I take 100, so you can take as many as you want. But if you took 10 a day, that would last you 3 months. That's 3 months of vegetables right there. And they also come in small pouches. So if you're traveling, I can't begin to tell you how important this stuff is, how easy it is, straight from Mother Nature, keto, vegan, raw, zero fiber, if that's an issue for you. For spirulina. So it's unbelievably nourishing. And we haven't even gotten to the protective nature. This is just straight giving you nourishment and pulling out toxins. And when we get to mitochondria, which I'm getting to next, you'll see that this is your lifeline. And God bless Mother Nature.
Yeah, it's simple, it's logical, it's been around forever, it's just been under our radar. It's cost effective, which we'll talk about in a minute. Tons of bang for your buck on getting the micronutrients, phytonutrients that you would get from vegetables, organic vegetables, not junky stuff. It's which is mind-blowing how simple.
We haven't even mentioned that it's the most sustainable, eco-friendly crop in the world, which is the other reason why the United Nations endorsed it. Zero waste. Algae provides 80% of the oxygen on Earth. It uses 1/3 of the less water. And by the way, you can reuse the water when you're growing it because it kills bacteria. It's unbelievable. Like there is absolutely nothing you can say bad about algae other than maybe the flavor. But you can swallow it. And the good news is the chlorella, which again is the recovery bits. It tastes delicious. I think I made you try some, Dr. J, at the show. If you chew this with pistachio nuts or macadamia nuts or even just sea salt, it's delicious. So now you can have a healthy snack that's building your mitochondria, protecting your, giving you better sleep, giving you better skin. It's just so nourishing and tastes okay.
Yes. What I love about them is they are tiny. Some people have a hard time taking pills. Well, these are tiny. It's so easy to take with something, or blend them up in your smoothie, or just chew them up with nuts like you're talking about. Now, granted, if you're chewing them up, you're going to have some water handy because this is going to...
You make your teeth a little green briefly, but you can swallow them. You get the same benefits, and in seconds, like literally seconds. That's why I call it the future of fast food. So we've talked about the general benefits: nourishing, satisfies your hunger, can replace vegetables, helps you sleep, pulls out toxins. But here's where the rubber hits the road. Remember I said 1 in 2 Americans have a chronic disease, and it's escalating. And 80% of people over 65 have a chronic disease. This is killing us. And it's because we don't have the nutrients we need to operate our bodies or protect our mitochondria, and then we have too many toxic loads. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a science lesson so you understand what's going on in your body. First, let me give you a nice analogy. So think of your body as a brand new skyscraper. So when you're born, everything's sparkling, brand new, just like a brand new building. And inside the building, there are offices, and maybe big corporations buy a couple of floors so that you have a big law firm and you have a eco-friendly whatever. So in your body, it's the same thing, but think of those offices as your cells. You have liver cells, you have brain cells, and there's different things that go on in each of those offices. But the thing that keeps everything working in the building are the lights. You can't do anything without any lights. And that's your mitochondria. You can't do anything in your body without mitochondria. Now, as your building gets older, some of the staff that work there leave, and then they don't come back. And then people forget to replace the lights. So over time, the lights go out until eventually there's no lights, no activity in the building because everyone's left because there's no lights. And that's when you have a chronic disease. And this is what happens in your body too, in your cells. As your mitochondria get damaged, if you haven't got the nutrients to restore them, they don't come back, and they get more and more damaged, and they get more and more damaged. But the beautiful thing about algae is it brings them back. So we start turning the lights back on in your cells, more lights. And so now eventually your building can be full of light again. People will come back to the building and everything's working again. So that's how I want you to think about the mitochondria. They're the lights that keep everything going in your body. And so that's why they are critical for everything. And I want you to understand, because I found that if you don't know something, it can be scary, and then you don't know where to even start. So I'm going to help you understand there's nothing scary about this. I just want you to understand how your body functions. So in your cells, you have a nucleus, and you have a bunch of other stuff, and you have these mitochondria. They're little peanut-shaped things, okay? Now, these are the ones where you have 2 million of them per cell in your brain. Now, inside the mitochondria is where the ATP is produced. That's the thing that produces the cellular energy. But a byproduct of ATP is free radicals. So it's sort of like, smoke is a byproduct of having a fire, right? Now, here's the problem. Your mitochondria have their own DNA. The regular DNA is over here in the nucleus, and there's 25,000 of those, but your mitochondria have their own DNA. There's only 13, but those DNA control everything over here. They control everything on the cellular wall. They control everything. They're like air controllers at an airport. When everything's working at an airport, the air controllers got everything is on their game. Everything is, hunky-dory. But when the air controllers are off their game, planes can crash. And that's exactly what happens with your mitochondria DNA, because inside here, the mitochondria DNA are exactly where the free radicals are produced. So if you've ever sat near a fire or a bonfire, fireplace, you get too close, sparks would fly off, right? And you might get burned. So your mitochondria DNA are getting burned all the time because they're exactly where the free radicals are being produced as a result of the ATP. Now, your regular DNA, they're over here in the cheap seats. They never get damaged. They last a lifetime. Your mitochondria DNA lasts an average of 10 to 30 days. And that's because they're always being fried. And so what happens in your cells is you get what's called oxidative stress. And this is when your cells start getting damaged and so badly that they don't function anymore. The communications is incorrect. And the worst damage is in your mitochondria. Here's a picture of a healthy mitochondria. And here's a damaged mitochondria. Now, what happens is the mitochondria, there's something called the Krebs cycle, and there's the electronic transfer chain, little sciencey. But in the process of that, free radicals are released, and they damage the mitochondria. So now the communication from one end of the mitochondria to the other can't continue because it's not solid like it used to be. And so now that means more free radicals are released, which are more damaging, which causes even more gaps. And so it's a downward spiral as you go. So the key is to protect those mitochondria from free radical damage. Now, there's two ways you can do that. One is to reduce the free radicals, and the second one is to remove the free radicals. Now, I'm going to talk about the first one. Reduce the free radicals. Well, here's the good news. That's really easy to do. You just need to change your diet, get rid of the carbs, reduce your processed carbs. That's anything white, anything processed food, sugar, because they throw off the most free radicals and are the most damaging. The next step you could do is take on a keto diet, which is also or a low carb diet. And the best thing is to do fasting. It could be intermittent fasting, long-term fasting, and take algae. Both fasting and algae create virtually zero free radicals. You'll never get to zero because just the act of breathing causes free radicals to be released. But that's number one. Change your diet, reduce the number of carbs, increase your intermittent fasting, which is either shortening your eating time or doing long-term, and definitely add algae because algae will give you all the nourishment you need and none of the free radicals. Works for me. Okay, so that's reduce free radicals. Next one is to remove the free radicals. Now, you've heard of antioxidants as a way to protect your as a way to stop free radicals, but here's the problem. Your mitochondria are a unique cell. They have a second membrane. Remember we mentioned earlier, all of your cells have what's called a lipid membrane, so nutrients can get in and out. They use something called porins. Well, there aren't any porins in your mitochondria inner membrane. So all of those traditional antioxidants, blueberries, vitamin C, vitamin E, none of them can get into the mitochondria. And the reason why there's that second membrane is it's left over from the days when it was by itself. When it got engulfed, that original membrane didn't disappear. It just had a second membrane, the lipid membrane, put around it. But that inner membrane still exists. And there are only 4 antioxidants that on all my research that I found that can get in there: glutathione, melatonin, superoxide dismutase, and chlorophyll. You're going to find out algae has the highest concentration of all 4 in the entire world. But first of all, I want you to know that the good news is your body makes superoxide dismutase, glutathione, and melatonin from the moment you are born. But there's a downside. Your body only makes those 3, which protect your mitochondria, until about the age of 30. So from the moment you're born, you've got all this great protection until you about to hit 30, 40, and then 50, and then 60. And by this time, there's virtually no superoxide dismutase, glutathione, and melatonin being produced. And this is exactly when chronic disease hits. Interesting, right? Just when your body is no longer creating the 3 antioxidants that protect your mitochondria from free radical damage, that's when your chronic disease happens. So this is the problem. As you age, your protection from chronic disease, because your mitochondria, sinks. And at the same time, your toxin level goes up because now you've been living a while. Here's the perfect storm. This is exactly when chronic disease hits. And this is why 80% of people over 65 have a chronic disease. I thought, Mother Nature, How could she be so foolish? Our bodies are so refined and everything works perfectly. How could she let us down and give us all this protection until the age of 30, and then after that we're cut off? Well, here's why. Humans have been on the earth for 2 million years, and it's only in the last couple thousand years we lived past 30. We always died before 30. So our biology hasn't caught up with our destiny. We were supposed to die at 30. So all this protection that's built in, your superhero skills, they were only meant to be until the age of 30. And so now that we're living longer, our bodies aren't creating those enzymes, some of them are enzymes that we normally had. But here's the great thing. Algae has the highest concentration of all these, they're called endogenous antioxidants, because normally this is where you get them, because they're not found in food in any medicinal quantities except algae. So when you take spirulina or chlorella, chlorella has the highest glutathione and the highest chlorophyll, and spirulina has the highest superoxide dismutase and the highest melatonin. We can flatline that inflammation. So at the same time you're flatlining inflammation, you're protecting your mitochondria, and you're also pulling out the toxins, and we can reverse that aging, that chronic disease scenario and bring people back to health, turn their lights back on in their mitochondria, get them back from fatigue, from weight gain, from brain fog, and particularly things like we're doing our first clinical trial. It started last week with a nonprofit group called Gray Team, and that tries to prevent suicide rates of veterans, which is the suicide rate is 35%. And we're just giving them spirulina, a pouch of spirulina, 30 tablets a day. And we did the brain scans before, and we're going to do brain scans after, and we've got all kinds of monitors to check sleep and anxiety. And I know for sure we're going to see brain inflammation drop just from taking spirulina, nothing else. They're not doing anything else. I hope to have the results in about 6 weeks. I feel so grateful to be to have the opportunity to share with you something that was created by Mother Nature. We just grow it safely and purely. We do third-party lab tests here in the United States at an FDA-approved lab because we sell through doctors. So, and we grow it in a way that's with putting your needs first. We don't use high heat, so all those enzymes like superoxide dismutase are alive and well. That's why we found out people, it's not inexpensive, although illness is even more expensive. So I would urge you to step up now. A bag is normally $125, but with we have a 20% discount code, Dr. J, all one word. Dr. J, put it in the coupon box, brings it down to $100. So that's 3 months of vegetables for $100. It works out to be,
Amazing.
10 cents a day or something. It's crazy. This is your health insurance. This is it, man. And I have the science to prove it. There's 100,000 studies, but like I said, no one's ever explained it to you. But if you bring everything back to basics, Mother Nature always teaches us the best lessons. Nothing happens overnight. You have to pick up after yourself. And we're part of a holistic community. So if you don't treat Mother Earth very well, eventually, you will suffer. And on the other hand, if you treat your body well, you're also treating Mother Earth well. So you don't need drugs if you have taken the care, and algae is a number one for nutritional, but then you also need sleep, and you need love, and you need sunshine, and you need exercise. But those are the pillars of having great health. And whatever situation you are in right now, I promise you, it doesn't have to be that way forever. Your body has 30 trillion cells, and 30 trillion cells die every day, and 30 trillion new ones grow back. And so when you give your body the nourishment it needs, it's going to build stronger, healthier cells, and it'll bring back your mitochondria and make them stronger and healthier. Even the superoxide dismutase, that's in here, it's been proven to stop the damage to telomeres. Telomeres are are the caps on the ends of your DNA. And when they shorten, it exposes your DNA and it unravels. And then you have damaged DNA and it replicates damage. So this can stop that process because of the superoxide dismutase that's been proven to do that.
It's a great anti-aging nutrient as well.
Absolutely. And it's, again, not a drug, not a chemical, not processed, no contaminants, zero chemicals, zero. It's unbelievable that this even exists, and ironically has been here for 4 billion years.
What's amazing about this is some of us doctors, especially chiropractic physicians, where we try to take more of that natural approach, we really take the term doctor serious, which is Latin for teacher or educator. And a lot of us, I know in our office, Dr. Terry and I, we really work hard to educate our patients with classes. We're like, here, besides getting adjusted and turning on that nerve power, the blueprints for your body, get educated on how to do the right nutrition, keep the toxins out, get the right amount of sleep. And we've been teaching these things for decades now. And just in this hour, you've blown my mind, because here we have something that Mother Nature gave us and it's been under our nose for billions of years, and we've just ignored it. And yeah, we still got to fire up the nervous system and turn on the nerve power. But this addresses the toxins by helping us detox and get rid of antioxidants. And it helps us get the nutrients in and get natural energy and get all these. It's just mind-blowing to me that all this stuff and energy I've been spending time on teaching patients and my community for the last 20 years, that so much of it can be summed up in the nutritional and detox section.
And most importantly, it's effortless, because I know part of the problem is people get told that they need to, change their diet and eat more vegetables, but then it's too much work. This is why I found algae. It's too much work for people, but everybody can open their mouth, swallow down a few tablets, and then you're done. You're done. That's it. You don't have to worry about it. And any age group, again, one tablet gives you the same nourishment as one big plate of vegetables. And for children, give them one for or half of one for their age. So if they're 2, give them 1 tablet. If they're 4, give them 2 tablets a day until they're a teenager, and then they can have 30 or 40. There is no upper limit. I have over 100, sometimes 150 a day. It's just, I mean, I do eat real food, but I love these so much. And and I just want other people to feel as good as I do. I'm 66 years old, so I'm not so I'm in that age group, that over 65. And I just had all my blood work done, and I have 0 inflammation. All my markers are absolutely perfect. My brain's on fire. So I'm proof this is my real hair. I don't have any Botox.
So and you look amazing.
To know that it's possible and easy to be well. Possible and easy. That's
well said. And thanks for being a pillar for us and a good example of how to be healthier and live longer. And I love how you pointed out that a lot of us producing some of these things starts to die down in the 30s, because we weren't designed to live that long for a long time. But we are designed now to live to over the age of 100. I address this in my book, Future Health, Living to 100 Years and Beyond, Aging Gracefully to 100 Years and Beyond. These are some key components. Simple nutrition, simple detox.
Must-haves. These are absolute must-haves. Why live long if you're not going to live well? It's just not any fun. So we can get the fun back in. We can turn the lights back on. Those last 30 or 40 years of your life do not have to be spent worried and limited. Aging is inevitable. Decline is not. That's what I need to get people to understand. Decline is not natural, but you have to know the rules of the game. And so now you know how the mitochondria function and what they need. So now you know the rules, and we've got the tools.
You've taught us so much great stuff today. I just really want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today. This is just a fantastic, amazing interview that will change people's lives if they just will tune in and start doing this. And it's not hard, like you just pointed out. It's some things that for people to change their lifestyle is so hard. This is easy, folks. So easy.
Easy. Just swallow them. That's all you have to do. Just swallow them. So come and visit us at energybits.com. Use the discount code Dr. J, all one word. You'll get 20% off. It works on everything all the time. Here's all the different packets with canisters. We have boxes, big bags. The big bags are your best value. And if you get the canister, you just buy 1 canister and then you refill it. with the bags afterwards. They have a little opening to shake it out. So
yeah, it makes it easy to shake them out just a couple at a time, so you don't have to dig your hand in the bag or if you're sharing with other people. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, thanks for that. Brilliant design, beautiful marketing and labeling. I think you've done a fantastic job. I love how you took a passion to help your sister, turned that into research that led to, I don't want to say you made a product, you found Mother Nature's perfect product and just packaged it for us to use. Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, you're welcome. And it was a labor of love.